Hello, I'm Ollie and this is Criminally, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today I'm talking about famous authors. I'm doing the Cult of Celebrity tag. This tag was created by Gareth at Book Songs and Other Magic, and I was tagged by MJ at Reading This Life. I will put links to both of their channels and videos in the description for this one. So there are 6 questions, all of them about authors and kind of your relationship with authors. So let me go through those. So the first question is, have you ever met an author you've liked? And I assume what Gareth means by this question, and I didn't think to check back to his original video, I assume that he means, have you ever met an author that you were a fan of, rather than have you ever met an author and liked them? So anyway, my answer either way is yes. So I met at a book signing years and years ago. It was when I was at university, so that was a very long time ago. Armistead Maupin, famously the author of the Tales of the City books. And it was when he was launching, and I now can't remember the name of it at all, but his first novel that wasn't a Tales from the City novel. So he did a book launch for that. He did a reading from it and did a book signing afterwards. So I attended that as a big fan of the Tales of the City books, but also a penniless student, and did not buy a copy of his new book, which was only available in hardcover, which I couldn't afford, but did take along a very, very tatty copy of the first Tales of the City book, which I had read many times and I'd lent it to many people as well. So it really was a very battered paperback. So I took that along, and he was up there like on the stage with his, I'm not sure if it was his boyfriend then or his husband, the guy who was later his husband anyway. And the husband / boyfriend gave me a very funny look when he saw the terrible state of this paperback that I was giving Armistead Maupin to sign. So Maupin quite happily signed it, but yeah, his other half did not approve of me turning up with this battered old book and not buying a copy of the shiny new hardback. So anyway, that's the author I have met. I haven't really met many authors at all. In fact, I think he's the only one. I'm not someone who really goes to like book signings and things like that. So aside from a couple of people I know who I knew anyway who have subsequently published books, I don't really think I've met any authors. Second question is, do you seek out signed copies of books? So no, not really. I've got a few, but they're ones I kind of chanced across rather than ones I sought out. So I don't typically go to signings. It's nice, I had, when I did my unboxing for the Abominable Book Club September box, there were 2 signed books in there, and that's lovely. It's really nice when you get a signed book, but I wouldn't pay, over the odds for a signed book, and I don't go to signings or anything like that. So I guess my answer to that question is no. Third question is, are you interested in an author's personality, lifestyle or opinions? I think it depends on the author. If it's an author I really, really like, then maybe, but not really. I'm not really that bothered. I'm here for the books and the stories really, rather than anything else. Sometimes, it can be interesting if you really, really love an author to find out a bit more about their life and their influences and things like that. But it's not something I really seek out. And also, as I've said on the channel before, I don't have a problem reading books by authors who hold and expound opinions that I don't agree with. I'm here to be entertained by the books, and the politics I tend, not always, but tend to leave to one side. Question 4. Is there an author whose books you love you think you wouldn't like personally? I don't know. I mean, as I've said, I'm not that bothered by authors' views on things really. And also, this kind of works for the next 2 questions as well. I'm really, really awkward in person and don't really like meeting people very much. So I tend to, I think I would be quite daunted if I met an author, whether I agreed with their opinions or not, or whether I like them or not. but not because they're famous, but just because I'm daunted by meeting new people. So I think, maybe someone like H.P. Lovecraft, who was, famously a racist old bastard, I wouldn't necessarily particularly want to meet. I think I wouldn't get on with him. But I'm a bit of a weirdo, and I don't really get on with many people. So the same would probably be true for authors, even if they held exactly the same opinions of me. Question 5 then. Is there an author now dead who you would have liked to meet? So, referencing my previous question and my previous answer, I don't really like meeting people, but I would like to have met Ed McBain. I'm a huge fan of his work. I think he was a brilliant, brilliant writer, and he was supposed to be an incredibly nice and affable person, and loved the sound of his own voice. So even though I might be a bit awkward in his presence, I suspect that he could keep the conversation going for both of us anyway. So I think Ed McBain is probably my answer for that one. Is there an author still alive that you would like to meet is the final question. And I think the answer to that is probably not. I'm quite happy just reading their books. I can't think of anyone. I did rack my brains. I can't think of anyone who I like as a writer so much that it would overcome my shyness and my awkwardness around meeting new people. So I'm going to say no to that one. Right, time to tag some people. I haven't checked to see if any of these people have done this tag already, but I'm pretty sure you haven't. And equally, I haven't checked to see if you've already been tagged, because that's a lot more difficult to do. But I don't think you have. So I'm going to tag AJ Dunn at AJ Dunn Reads and Writes, Brandy at the Booklectic, and Nadine at Tomb Raider. So yeah, interested to hear your answers to these questions if you've not done the tag already. And now the moment you've all been waiting for. Now that I have shelves again, I can announce the triumphant return of a random book from the shelves, where in each video I pluck a random book from my shelves and talk about it very, very briefly. So today's book is Vox by Nicholson Baker. Now, Nicholson Baker is one of those authors who I wouldn't expect me to like, in that he's not crime or pulp, or horror, but I do think he's really fun. So he is a kind of literary fiction author who writes quite weird and experimental books where he particularly goes into a particular subject and writes about that. And often his books are slightly sexy, and this is no exception. So Vox is a book about phone sex. It's very funny. It's quite raunchy. It's a good time. So that's it from me for this tag. Do let me know in the comments your answers to the questions. Let me know if you've met any famous authors and what they were like. And as always, thank you very much for watching. I hope you're safe and well. I hope you're reading good stuff. And I'll speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.